Hey everyone, welcome back. You seem to love a good serial killer deep dive, so we're back with another one.
Always a good time.
Maybe not a good time, but definitely interesting.
That's probably a better way to put it.
So yeah, tonight, it's the Hillside Stranglers. We're heading back to 1977 in L.A. for this one. Disco music, platform shoes, and a whole lot of fear. Because, people in L.A. were finding out that young women were turning up dead in the hills around the city.
Yeah, and this case just blew up in the media.
Big time.
It was everywhere. And that's where the name the Hillside Stranglers came from.
Catchy, huh?
Yeah, if you can call it that.
And the reality was just as bad. We're talking 10 victims, 10 young women, ages 12 to 28, all strangled.
And a lot of them showed signs of being tortured.
Awful. And then to make things even more creepy, the killers would often pose the bodies.
Like they were putting on some kind of sick display.
It's just chilling. And what gets me is, these weren't just random acts of violence. It was planned.
Right.
This was two guys, cousins, Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Buono. And they were pretty clever about how they lured their victims.
Like how they pretended to be cops? Can you imagine?
No way.
Talk about terrifying. Using that authority to trick their victims. Mm-hmm. And Bianchi actually worked as a security guard, so, he already had this position of authority.
Like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly. And it just goes to show you, that these guys, these monsters, they can be hiding in plain sight.
It's scary to think about. So we've got these two cousins, Bianchi and Buono. What was their deal?
Well, it was pretty clear from the start that they had this really messed up relationship. Buono, the older one, he was the brains of the operation, the manipulator, really controlling. And Bianchi, he was, more of a follower.
Until he tried to say he wasn't?
Right, like he was totally innocent, came up with that whole split personality thing, blamed it all on his alter ego, Steve, as if that explains anything.
Steve, the Strangler.
Please. It was just a desperate attempt to get out of trouble. And the whole split personality defense, it's super rare for it to actually work.
Yeah, you see it in movies all the time, but
not so much in real life. But it does make you wonder, what was going on in Bianchi's head, how much of this was him, and how much was Buono's influence.
Like, was he a killer just waiting to happen, or did Buono create him? It's a nature versus nurture thing.
Big time. And it's something that criminal psychologists still debate today. The whole psychology of serial killer duos is fascinating and creepy. Usually you have a dominant personality, a leader who brings the other one in, like a puppet master.
Yeah, they play on each other's weaknesses. It's dark stuff.
No kidding. But thankfully, their killing spree didn't last forever.
Yeah, how'd they finally get caught?
Well, it's actually pretty interesting. Bianchi gets arrested up in Washington State for another murder. Totally random. But that arrest, it was the key to breaking the whole Hillside Strangler case wide open.
So they were able to connect him back to the L.A. murders because of this random arrest.
Yep. It was like a domino effect. Evidence starts piling up, and Bianchi, he totally freaks out.
So what did he do?
He cracks, cuts a deal, tells the cops everything, throws Buono right under the bus.
It was all over for Buono then.
Oh, yeah. The jig was up. And can you imagine what it must have been like in L.A. when the news broke?
Oh, it was huge. This case had been hanging over the city for months, is all anyone could talk about.
It was a full-blown media frenzy. Reporters everywhere, everyone trying to get the scoop.
And everyone in the city must have been glued to their TVs and radios.
Oh, for sure. The media, they play a huge role in these kind of things. They can keep people informed, but they can also create this atmosphere of fear and panic. And in this case, it definitely added to the hysteria.
Makes sense. Everyone was on edge.
Absolutely. And then came the trials.
Oh, yeah, those are something else.
Some of the longest criminal trials in American history. They were in court for years.
Talk about a legal marathon.
Totally. And Bianchi, he just kept trying to manipulate the system, changing his story, trying to play the victim.
What a mess. So what happened in the end?
Well, Buono, he got life in prison, no parole.
Yeah.
But Bianchi, because he cooperated with the cops and testified against Buono, he got a life sentence with the possibility of parole.
So he could actually get out someday.
It's possible, and a lot of people were outraged by that. They felt like he got off easy.
Yeah, I can see why people would feel that way.
It's understandable. These guys committed horrific crimes. But the case also had this kind of positive effect on law enforcement.
How so?
Well, the LAPD, they realized that they needed to up their game when it came to investigations.
Did they change their procedures?
Yeah, they overhauled their whole crime scene analysis process. They got way more sophisticated.
Because of Bianchi and Buono.
In a way, yeah. It's a dark silver lining. But the case definitely led to improvements in law enforcement.
It's just crazy how this one case has had such a lasting impact. I mean, it's still talked about today. Books, documentaries, you name it.
It's a story that captures the imagination, you know? It's got all the elements. True crime, mystery, betrayal, and this kind of morbid fascination with the dark side of human nature.
Yeah, and it makes you realize that these monsters, they could be anyone.
They could be your neighbor, your coworker. It's unsettling, and it's a good reminder to always be aware of your surroundings.
That's for sure. Well, that's our deep dive into the Hillside Stranglers. It's a case that's dark, disturbing, and definitely one that'll stick with you.
No doubt about it.
So for everyone listening, here's a thought tonight, Ron. What other true crime stories have had this kind of lasting impact on you? What cases keep you up at night? Let us know.
And maybe we'll do a deep dive on one of those next time.
Stay tuned.
Stay safe. Bye.